Hey everyone, welcome to French Toast Chopsticks Manga, episode 2. I'm actually doing my first manga review. I even took notes, such as they are. I even used washi tape. Whoa, sorry about the focus issue there. This is, we're going to be reviewing a series that I thought was only 4 volumes, but it turns out there's at least a 5th volume that I've just ordered, but I think I got the gist of it. That is Days on Fes. Here's the cover of volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, this is what falls under slice of life genre. This is a Yen Press release, and I've noticed that I've actually enjoyed a lot of the Yen Press release stuff. Slice of life. It begins centering around 2 high school girls, Kanade and Otowa. I'm probably mispronouncing. I call it pink hair and blue hair. It starts with them where the blue hair, Otowa, is trying to convince her friend Kanade to go to a music festival. And Kanade does not take music very seriously. She has a band that she really likes, and we'll get into that later. But she's convinced to go to a music festival. It's a day-long music festival, so there's no overnight issues to be worried about. And it's just set at a beautiful park, and I don't think it's any real bands. It could be. Most of them are Japanese, although there was a Mexican band, and you could tell because the people playing had sombreros on. Japan. They had a great time and Kanade gets super duper excited, and that makes Otowa want to go further and get her into the stuff she's into, because Otowa is a bit of a otaku, or if she was American, she'd be a weeb, and wants to get involved with that. But this is all focused on the music part, and what they love the music, and they love festival food. I guess the equivalent would be food at a state or a county fair. Lots of fried goods, but like they even have like burgers and stuff, but they also have this like stuff like ramen and soba and traditional Japanese foods and things like that. So, and that's where it gets into the kind of the food porn that a lot of the manga I'm reading has, which I really enjoy, where it shows really detailed drawings of the food they're eating, and it kind of makes you hungry. So they're very excited about this. So later on, it turns out they go over to see Otoa's brother Gaku, who's 28, and I call him the blonde one. Let's see, he is that one right there. And also he runs a cafe that serves food and also specializes in coffee, the kind of coffee that you get out of a siphon coffee brewer like that. And the guy who works for him is sort of a kind of a emo kid, I guess. He's one of those types that only likes bands as long as they don't become popular. And once they become popular, he doesn't like them anymore. It's Ritsuru. I think he's like 18 to 20. He works cafe. He's a very good worker, even though he has a bad attitude. But he's very professional at work, so I appreciate that. And Gaku is kind of a type A personality, very outgoing, very excited, very happy. And it's interesting because you just kind of meet him in the context of they're going to go to a festival with his sister and her friend. But later on in like volume 4, you actually get the backstory to some of these characters. Gaku started out, when he was still at home in junior high, he got sick of hanging around the sister who's now in high school, Otowa. So he would go to the library to study, but every time he go to the library, he'd pass by this cafe. And eventually the old guy said, "You should come in here." And they became friends, and that's what introduced him to the cafe and also music festivals. So it kind of sprung his love. So after he graduated college, he was working the salaryman job and was really not liking it. And he ends up taking over the cafe from the old cafe owner. And it starts doing really well. And he actually has to hire someone, whereas the old guy was kind of by himself and it wasn't very crowded. So he does a great job with the cafe, does a lot of like farm to table food. So again, more food porn with really detailed drawings and such. So that's the origin of Ritsuru. And it's kind of interesting because in the very beginning, like his stuff is told in a flashback in the later volumes, but in the very beginning, it just kind of showed you his personality type and made you really like him. And then they didn't bore you or bog you down with origin stuff. They just kind of showed you his personality in the beginning, and same with the girls, both Kanade and Otoa. You just see that they're excited to go to the festival. Then you get some more backstory about what their family life is like, what their, it's weird. They're not like super overachieving book nerds, but they both really love music and start to really, really get passionate about it. And they even get part-time jobs to save up money to go to more music festivals. And in the end of book 4, they actually are starting to work part-time at Gaku because it's starting to get very busy there. Because Gaku likes to present a very relaxed vibe at his cafe where he plays, he's got the satellite beam music of like the Muzak stuff, but he also sometimes plays stuff he likes, and he's a bit of a music aficionado. And even stuff that Ritsaru likes that might not always be appropriate for a business like that, but sometimes when Ritsaru gets down in the dumps, which is often over the dumbest stuff, he'll be outside sweeping, and then Gaku will actually play his favorite music over the speakers, and it kind of makes him happy again. So it's very wholesome and sweet. You just see the excitement of someone who gets into something new, much like I'm doing here with French Toast Chopsticks manga. But the girls, especially Kanade, how obsessed she becomes with the music festival scene and downloading all of her songs and stuff like that. They also introduce a couple side characters. There's a classmate that they didn't really, he was always afraid to talk because he's got a thing for Kanade. But it also turns out he's in a band and invites him to a festival, and he's pretty good, and they start to become friends and talk. So I don't know if there's going to be some romance there. I'm not sure how many volumes it's going to be. There's one more volume on the way, volume 5, but I didn't see any volumes after that. So I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. Also, Kanade's favorite band is kind of like a, I don't know, alt indie rock band with kind of boy band thing. I forgot the name of the band, but like a cute boy is the lead vocals and guitar, and his sister plays bass, and they get a little bit into their backstory too. So I got to think, if this is only 4 volumes, I got to do more with it, because they give their backstory and their origin, where he was just kind of a shy nerd, and his sister was a bossy older sister that made him do music with her because she left the music club because they weren't taking it serious enough. And it turns out he's a really good singer and guitar player. So they kind of give a whole backstory to them. So I got to think it's got to go beyond 5 volumes because they haven't come back to them yet. Just reference like, oh, they're going to be at this festival, I want to go there. So I'm interested to see how that goes. The one thing I get an inkling for in volume 4 is kind of sort of an age inappropriate romance between Kanade and Ritsuru. I think Ritsuru's 18 or 20, somewhere around that range. It says, I just don't remember. And Kanade's like 15. So, I mean, age difference isn't a lot, but 20 and 15 is, at least to American standards, that's kind of a no-go. But they kind of hint, because while they were working part-time for Gaku, they both get dispatched to go find shopping for ingredients. And they kind of have a little adventure where they rescue a cat and stuff like that. Another key thing, Ritsaru loves cats. He doesn't have one, but he loves it. So, of course, he gets into shenanigans with Kanade, and then the next day they're at the cafe together talking, and it's like, oh, they're getting along, and that's great. I'm like, I hope it just stays to that, because they're pretty opposite personalities, but I just don't like the age gap, and that's a problem I think a lot of manga that put romance in is they do some inappropriate age gapping, and while 3 years isn't that much, it's legally a little issue. But it's not like gross, and there's no explicit content. There's no swearing. This is very G to PG in ratings, I would say, but I don't want to guarantee that until I see what happens at volume 5. Should have that on Thursday. If there's a big change, I'll post an update on this, because I noticed a lot of the manga folks on YouTube that I was watching do not, especially the more Western ones, do not care for age gaps in romance. And I think that's common also in the booktube community. My wife Vanessa watches a lot of booktubers, and a lot of them don't like age gap romances, and I could see that. I hope it doesn't go there. I think she'd be better paired with that kid who got into a band, or even the lead singer to the big band that she likes. That'd be more appropriate, I think. But maybe they're just gonna be friends and it'll stay wholesome. I certainly hope so. But the art's great. The characters are awesome. I think of all of them, like I like the girls' youthful energy, and they're just nice. They're not mean girls. They're not in a clique or anything like that, and they're friendly with everybody. But I gotta say, Gaku's my favorite. He's the enterprising businessman who's turned around a cafe that he loved and something successful that he started just because he didn't want it to close, because he wanted to still hang out at it. He's really into camping gear, which I like because I'm into camping gear too. I love camping. He enjoys setting up an elaborate camp that must be on totally level ground, which I can identify with. It's funny because Ritsaru always says, no, you can't buy that because you don't need this. You're making too much of a fuss. I like that he makes a fuss. He likes to reward Ritsaru. He cares about Ritsaru. Like if this was more of I could see this easily transitioning into what's probably the most popular genre, at least among the women readers, is the boy love genre. But that's even a bigger age gap, I think. But maturity level is different too. So I don't know. It'd be okay. They had real world items. A solo stove. He wanted to buy a solo stove, and he's like, oh, that's too expensive. And then I'm looking at the price, and I'm like, converted to yen, I looked it up. It's 0.0071 yen to $1. So I did the calculations, and I think their solo stove was only like $40. And I'm like, those are a couple $100 here, and I kind of want one. So unless it was that, it can't be. It's not a new enough book to be that new mini one that they're coming out with. So that was kind of strange. It's funny how prices are different, because another one I'm reading that's similar to this is called Laid Back Camp, about a high school outdoor club and all their camping adventures. And they also go shopping for outdoor goods. Both books I read back to back were doing that. And all the prices like, oh my God, this sleeping bag is so expensive. And it was like a down, like mummy style sleeping bag. And it was something like, I did the math, and it was like $20. I'm like, do you guys know what stuff costs? And I learned that the people that write / do the art are called mangaka, manga creators, I guess it's shorthand for. Seems weird, because the only one I knew, like only mangaka I knew, was Shunji Ito for his horror books, which are all great. But I think now that I'm reading more, I got to follow more from these creators. Like I clearly like their art and their storytelling. So yeah, I definitely recommend Days on Fest. I was like, what the hell does that mean? I think it's Days on Festival is my guess, because it's all about music festivals and all the different kinds that go to. They go to outdoor ones, indoor ones where you go club to club to club. Even the high school girls can go to those. And there's the overnight ones where they get to do the camping. I like those the best because a lot of stuff going on, and they talk. For some reason, Laid Back Camp, everything I'm reading that's slice of life, whatever they do an activity, on the way there or on the way back, they have to hit a hot spring. It makes me go, you know what? I'd like to do that. But all the hot springs that I know of are bathhouses, and that's not a place I want to go. So, hot springs. Like, I wonder if they actually are all legitimate hot springs, or if they're just regular water that's heated up, via conventional methods instead of, bubbling up. Or Japan's just sitting on a giant super volcano that's going to explode and kill everyone. I don't know. Maybe. But that such a hot spring is very common. But I see some people talk about this, but not as many as like the other ones. Like I would definitely put this in with Laid Back Camp. But I think I might like this a little better. But not as nearly as many people talk about it. So maybe there's no anime adaptation. Maybe that's why it's too new. But yeah, I recommend it. Right now, it's currently my favorite. Supplanted Battle Angel Alita, actually. It's weird because I'm moving more into slice of life from the sci-fi fantasy shonen type stuff. So yeah, that's my review. Like and subscribe, or don't. You can do what you want. I'm not the boss of you. Anyway, have a good night. Bye.